Hi, I'm Devin.
And I'm Kim, and we're the Tabletop Times. It has been a while since we last talked to you, but it's been crazy. Work.
It's just
School.
been really busy. Yeah.
Yeah. We've been playing games. We've not stopped. I just graduated with my master's degree. So my last year was very busy, and work for both of us and just, life. But we're back, and we're here to talk about Origins 2024.
Yeah, so at Origins, we did a lot. Saw a lot of demos, went to a lot of booths, or played a lot of demos, went to a lot of booths, played in a few tournaments, did all kinds of stuff. So we're just going to kind of go over some of our favorite things out of all those categories.
Yeah, so this year we actually went to Origins all 4 days, Thursday to Sunday. It's our first year doing that. Before we'd either gone only on the weekend or just for 1 day. So I think I really enjoyed going for all 4 days, and I really hope next year we can also go Wednesday, because I think that we get a lot more playing done. I mean, we played a lot, but...
I mean, Wednesday's like the trade day, though, right?
It's just... Wednesday's the...
Oh, I'm thinking of like Gen Con does
yeah.
the trade day thing, right?
Yeah. It starts at noon and it's gaming.
So, first off, we did a handful of tournaments. I think this is our first time doing board game tournaments. Is this our first time doing board game tournaments?
We did Everdell last year.
Oh, right, duh.
Gen Con.
Yeah. But this time we signed up for a bunch of them. So we did Super Show, which is a wrestling card and dice game. It's like a TCG kind of, but it's very casual. And so it's not intense. It's mostly about the atmosphere and having fun. The people that run the Super Show games, they're hilarious. It's a great atmosphere, fun people.
And it was a draft, so that was fun. We just got drafted our wrestlers. So.
Yeah, so it was like a level playing field. It wasn't like, well, these guys have collections that are like 8 years old. It was just like, well, everybody's going to play with the same starting boosters or whatever. So it was nice. It was nice.
I got Asia, and you got...
I got a Junkyard Cat, right?
Scrapyard
Cat.
Yeah.
Sorry, because Junkyard Dog is, yeah.
So that was fun. Like Devin said, it's a dice game. So, I mean, there is strategy, right? Knowing when to play your cards. But at the end of the day, it's a dice game.
Yeah, you can just lose because you rolled bad. And that's just the way that it is. But it's cute. It's a good time. Both of us, I had like a 2 wins, 3 losses or something, and you had a what?
I
what was
had
yours?
3 wins, 2 losses.
Yeah, okay. So we didn't do great, but hey, you got more wins than losses.
I think I was up there with the Asia wrestlers, like, because they put us all in,
oh yeah, they had it so each like pod had unique wrestlers. That way you didn't have a mirror match.
Yeah.
Right.
So I mean, I think I did pretty decent. So
it was unfair for me. My pod had like 3 people that had won championships.
It's a dice game.
Yeah, it was.
But
I think I beat one of them. So
and both of us. I mean, this is my first organized play for them whatsoever. You played last year.
Yeah, I did.
But we only picked it up at Origins last year, and we've played like 6 times.
Yeah, so it's whatever. It's super fun.
But yeah, so after that we did Wingspan. Or, yeah, technically, I guess before that in chronological order.
Yeah, that's true. We did. I think that was the first one we did. Yeah.
But that was fun. I made it to the second round.
I did not.
I'm very shocked I made it that far, because Devin wanted to split up and sit at separate tables, but I was like, why? I'm not going to go advance.
Kim didn't want to increase our odds of winning the tournament.
I mean, we ended up sitting at separate tables, so I mean, I guess it did work out. Exactly. So, yeah, that went pretty well. It was a fun time, no matter what. It was just Wingspan base game, and it was nice to play it with people that knew how to play instead of being like, oh, it's a teaching game. It was 4-player game. Everybody knew how to play. We had a good time. That was maybe the second time we've played at 4 players.
So it was really fun.
It was really fun.
It was a ton of fun. And the cool thing about that tournament, honestly, it was like, if we win, whatever. The cool thing was that if you get to the final round, you get to play the game with Elizabeth Hargrave, which would have been really cool.
Yeah, that would have been really cool.
But we didn't get there.
Yeah. I made it to the second round. My winning score was still like lower than Devin's tables, like
our average score, right? Y'all's highest, were lower than our averages.
And I was like, I'm not winning the second round. But yeah, I went to the second round on Saturday and I lost. But I had a great time because for me, tournaments aren't about winning. It's just about playing the game when, it's like, it's not a teaching game. And it's just fun for me and us to really just play no matter what.
Exactly. That's like the thing with Super Show. It's like our convention game because there is a community near us, but it's a little bit of a drive. It's up at Recess Games over in Cleveland area. So it's a little far, but they have a Super Show community, but we don't go out there. So whenever it's convention season, we're like, oh, this is our time to actually sit down and play that game with people. Next up, while Kim was doing round 2 of Wingspan, I believe, right? When this happened, yeah. I went ahead and played Great Western Trail, which is that cowboy. It was part of the Train Gamers Association because technically there is a train in it, but it's more about herding cattle.
I mean, you do deliver your cattle and onto different cities. I mean, that's a big part of it.
It is, but it's less train focused,
I guess.
And that was fun. Again, I was like, oh, I thought these people were going to be intense. They were super casual. A lot of them were like, oh, I just learned it the other day or something. I was just excited to play Great Western Trail with more than 2 players because I don't think we have done that.
No, we have not.
So I was like, let's go, a 4-player Great Western Trail game. So I had a good time. I lost, but I had a really good time. It was just fun to play Great Western Trail with people. Everyone was super friendly.
I was originally signed up for that tournament too, but then when I made it to the second round of Wingspan, I had to drop it. But I was a little nervous anyway because we had only played like 4 times and 2 times this year. So I was like right before it too. So I was like, I was nervous because I thought people were going to be intense, but looking, because I sat with y'all and watched.
Oh yeah, you came by in the morning. That's right.
Until my tournament started, but I was like, this is casual. Next year I'm definitely going to sign up for it and be like not as nervous for it.
A lot of the people in that tournament actually didn't even want to necessarily play in the tournament. They're just like, oh, I want to play one game, because a lot of them played their table and won, and were like, well, I'm going to go do something else. So it was like super casual. It was cool. It was cool.
And then our next tournament we did was Unmatched, and it was a team tournament.
Yes, it was 2v2. So Unmatched is a arena combat game that uses unique decks for each character that you select. And so it's like, I'll select like Sun Wukong, like the Monkey King, and he has his own deck. And
I played Buffy.
Yeah.
So, from Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Exactly. So we were like picking our teams, and I guess that's the only pair we played. Yeah, we had the option of switching, but we just stayed with those 2.
Yeah, so Devin is more into Unmatched than me. That might change a little bit.
Yeah, now Kim went into this, and I went into this, really. We thought, oh, it's Unmatched. These people will be casual. We were wrong. I didn't know the competitive scene for this game was like that, like focused, I was shocked. It was wild. These people like knew all of the cards, knew all of the heroes and stuff, and I was like, oh dang, they've like created synergies in their 2v2s. We just picked characters we thought were cool. Yeah. Oh no.
So that was very interesting. Hey, I lasted longer than I thought, because in the first game we had a 30-minute time limit, and after that it went to essentially floor is lava. At the start of your turn you would lose 1 health, but it wouldn't take you out of the game. So it would take you down to 1, and that's it. So we actually went to that.
Yeah, that first game we did, and it was crazy.
What were they playing?
They were playing Sinbad the Pirate and
Invisible Man.
The Invisible Man, that's right. And it ended up being Buffy versus the Invisible Man, like both of them at 1 health, countering each other, trying to survive. It was crazy.
It was really fun. I am very shocked that I lasted that long.
But meanwhile, game 2, I got 2 turns, and my hero was eliminated before I even got to my 3rd turn. I was devastated.
We got wrecked in that second game. They were playing Doctor Strange and...
Oh, the dude from Sun's Origin. I forget which one it was, but it was one of the 2 characters from Sun's Origin.
So, yeah. So that was rough.
Yeah, but it was still a good time. It was pretty cool. And I think we both agreed it was interesting. A lot of times we go to like these tournaments, or not even the tournaments, but different organized events, and the people running them know of the game and kind of have an overview of the game, but they don't know the game super deeply. But at Unmatched,
man,
there was a lot of staff there running that event, and those people, like, those were fans. Those people loved Unmatched.
It was really cool. Like I feel like other events, it's like by people that kind of know it, but like they knew it, and I don't know if they worked for Restoration Games or if they were just like fans, but like it was really cool.
It was so cool. That was a cool atmosphere. I really want to play some more Unmatched events.
I feel like, so for those that don't know, we were really into a game called Warhammer Underworlds, which was a arena combat game. You had like 5 fighters, you built a deck and all this stuff. And we were really into it prior to 2020. We would go to tournaments and everything, and we were competitive. Doesn't mean we were good, but we played competitively.
But we were in the scene.
Yeah. I've won a few trophies. You have too. So ever since we kind of got out of that, I've been looking for something, and I've not found it. Like a tournament like scene. And I know this would only be at conventions, but like this might fit it. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm glad that you came out of that like with this weird reinvigorated interest in Unmatched. It's like, oh dang, now you're gonna get way into it, and I'm gonna
know the meta. Besides that, those are the tournaments we did. So yeah, didn't do great, but I mean we had fun.
That's the important part.
Yeah. And then besides that, we did a lot of demos. We checked the hall out like a lot. We walked it several times. I don't know. I feel like we had a great time just walking around and we had scheduled demos too that we did.
Yeah.
And scheduled events. So for my favorite event that I did, I don't know. I feel like it's a toss up. I really enjoyed the demo of Kitchen Chaos.
Yeah, you really were into Kitchen Chaos. That was a fun one. That's like it's a team game, but also it can just be 1v1. It's 1v1 or 2v2, right?
Yes.
And it's kind of trying to invoke the feeling of Overcooked, the video game. If any of you have heard that, it's essentially a chaotic kitchen game. You and your partner are trying to gather ingredients, cook things, but there's limited spots. Like there's only like, one place to bake. So you and the opposing team are like fighting to go bake your cake or something, trying to get there first. And you sabotage each other. You're taking ingredients and trying to cook recipes that are public before they get them. That way it's like you take it and they're stuck with a meal they prepped that they can't serve, kind of thing. And
it's an indie game, so like I'm not sure if it's completely finished yet. Like it was like I seen a prototype game.
It was from DPH Games, I think.
No, it wasn't
DPH.
Not.
Oh, it was just Kitchen Chaos.
Yeah. Okay, I don't remember the company. The guy running it was the
designer, right? Okay.
Yeah, but we had a lot of fun. It is coming to Kickstarter. I know that. I don't know when, but I have it followed on my Kickstarter account. So I really enjoyed that. And then for me, I really like the all play self-guided tour. I thought that was really fun. So I did that by myself, while we did most of our events together just because we were mostly interested in the same things. But Devin went to a different event that night.
Yeah.
So do you want to go into that a little bit?
I can. Well, because you were doing all play, you played a bunch of their new releases though. You played like Through the Desert. You played.
Yeah. So I played. Yeah, Through the Desert.
Message from the Stars?
Yes, I believe that is what it was called. And Habitats.
Oh, yeah.
So not necessarily, I don't think Habitats is a new release, but yes. So I played those 3, and it was from like 6 to 10 or something, and I think I stayed till 9. But Through the Desert, I liked it so much that I ended up buying it. So yeah, I really like Reiner Knizia game. It's a re-release, actually, from, I think what year?
1980s, I think.
1990s.
Or 90s. Yeah, it was 90s.
So yeah, I really enjoyed it, and we've played it since I bought it, and I think you really enjoyed it.
Oh, I'm super into it. It's a super fun game.
Even at 2 players, because it's like an area control kind of, but I think at 2 players it still works well.
It turns into this mean game of trying to cut the other person off, because it's area control, but like via route building. So like you'll be like, I'm building my little route of camels, and then suddenly the other player's like, no, you're not, and you like cut them off. It's fun.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that game. And then I like the other. Well, Message from the Stars isn't really my type of game. I mean,
because it's like a decryption hidden in like passing passwords back together, trying to decrypt.
I can see
info.
Like it's a good party game, and we have a lot of like word party games.
Yeah.
I feel like are more.
It sounded like a hard party game though.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was interesting, but I mean, not my type of game. And then Habitats was fun, but yeah, I'm glad I tried it. Cool. So that was really fun. They had like a lot of their games out to try, which I thought was awesome. And another thing about Origins, if you don't know, a lot of the events are free.
Yes, they're included with the price of your ticket. Yes. It's just like you register for the event because they have limited slots, like whenever registration opens for events, but it is just, they're free to attend. Yeah. They just ticket that way. They make sure they have exactly enough people.
Yeah, I think we only paid for maybe like 2 or 3 events total.
Yeah, some of them do get upcharged, but most of them are free.
Yeah, so what did you do?
So then while Kim was doing the all-play self-guided board game tour, I did the National Security Decision-Making game. That sounds like intense.
It sounds like work.
It felt like an emulation of work in some ways, but it was something I've looked at before, because it's like a 30 to 150 player game. It depends. This one was, I think, a 30 or 60.
I think it was 60.
Was it 60? Okay. I know this one was like a 60 person
sold
game.
out.
It did sell out. It sold out, and when I went there were people standing by hoping other people didn't show up so they could play. Like, this was a hot event, apparently. And I've always seen them. Always wanted to attend. I was always too nervous because I was like, what if these people are like really intense, really into it, and I'm like, I don't know anything about like military or government stuff, and maybe you need some like pre-knowledge or something. But no, you walk up, you just kind of have fun. They're light about the whole thing. It's all chill. Everyone's just there to have a good time. I also expected it to be more mechanical, but it really was more of a big role-playing game. So in this national security decision-making game, they usually set it up with a bunch of different eras or scenarios. They'll do Cold War, near future, that kind of stuff. This one in particular was moon base. This was their first time doing it. It was essentially each country or like nation conglomerate has a moon base, and we're all there. We're all assigned to it. So like I was in the United States moon base, there was a China moon base, India moon base, the UN had a moon base, that kind of thing. So we're all assigned roles within our nation's moon base, and we're given goals, and we have to do project management, staff management. We have to come to agreements with other countries and like get signatures and physically hand them over to the game master so he can make it official. And like there's a news ticker that updates everyone on our stuff. And it really was. It felt kind of like work. It was like, oh, we only have like 2 electrical engineers. And it's like, well, China has a lot of like food engineers. Maybe we can like lend them a worker and they can lend us a worker and we can come to an agreement with it. But then it turns into, well, we need our president to sign off on this. Where's our president? Oh, he's at the UN meeting. Oh, I have to wait until the UN meeting's over. And it was this big, goofy game, but it was a lot of fun. It was not as hardcore as I thought. It was lighthearted. Everyone got into just playing up their role, and it was cute.
I'm glad you liked it. I don't think I would like it because it doesn't sound like my type of game necessarily. Role playing, and especially with a big group of people I don't know.
It was fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you really enjoyed it because you have been looking at those events for a long time.
I will say, after attending it, this was their moon-based one, and I had fun. It was a little bit of a mess. I think there was a miscommunication on how certain mechanics were supposed to work, so there was a lot of spin-up time while everyone stood around confused, but once we got going, we got going. I will say, after doing this, I'm probably going to try and do this at every convention I go to, because that was a really fun, 4 hours. It was a 4-hour event, by the way. It was long. So
it ended a little early.
Did it end early?
Yeah.
Oh, it did end early because they needed to be out of the room, quote unquote, by 10. So it did end a little early.
Because I think I walked over to you around 9:30 and you were done.
Okay, yeah.
So it was 3.5. But yes, it was pretty long.
It was fun though. Had a good time. Absolutely would do it again.
And then we did some more scheduled demos. We did Lair and Maki Master.
Those are both from Kids Table board games.
Yes, and I had a great time. I loved both of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably end up picking them up when they release.
Maki Master is like a tile laying game where you all are laying in the same grid.
And then order fulfillment, kind of?
Order fulfillment, tile laying. And that pretty much covers the mechanics. But it has some neat little twists on them. There's moving tiles around, that kind of stuff. It's cute. And Lair is a head-to-head dungeon crawler. Essentially, each player has made a dungeon for the other player and is delving that dungeon. So it's you'll take turns moving your hero in the other player's dungeon, and it's there's a hidden information screen so they don't know where the traps and monsters are.
Kind of like a Battleship.
Kind of like Battleship, where it's just oh, I'm gonna move to this space, and you're like, oh yes, you've run into a monster, that kind of thing. Yeah.
It's really fun. So I really enjoyed it. We have a game that's kind of similar. We have not played it.
It's called Keepers of the Questar.
But I think it's just one person is makes the dungeon.
Yeah, I don't think I think it's one of you runs through it and then you pass the turn.
Yeah.
Or you pass the roll and then you play through it and you're like, oh, who did better?
Yeah.
Instead of it being head to head, each of us take a turn moving our guy.
Which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, it was fun. I actually really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was cute.
I'm really glad we got to try that because I know I wanted to try it at Gen Con, but when I saw that it was at Origins and it was free, I was like,
Yeah, because at Gen Con, you do have to pay for a lot of events, even if it's a couple bucks, but it adds up when you're doing like 20.
Yeah. And then our last event that we did, well, we had another event on Sunday, but we were stuck on it in a traffic jam.
Yes.
There was an accident. No one got hurt.
But a semi like jackknifed across like 3 lanes on the highway, so there was no way around him.
And we were 2 miles from the convention center. We were getting there an hour early from our events and stuff, and then we got there just as it happened, apparently, and we were there for over an hour.
And so we missed our first event.
Yeah, it was very sad because I was really looking forward to it. And then, but they turned us all around on the freeway.
That was wild.
Yeah.
Whenever like that dude got out of the car and he was like, oh, they're turning us around. I was like, no way. And I got out and looked. I was like, oh my goodness, we're having to slowly, everyone reverse, turn around, leave on an on-ramp. I was like, oh no.
Well, luckily no one was hurt.
So the last thing we checked out was a game called Squirrel Stash. This was in the like unpublished proto-clee room. So it was like a prototype game. It wasn't finished yet. That kind of deal. We went in there. It was set up for 4 players because it's like a trick-taking game, or at least trick-taking is a big mechanic in it.
Trick-taking area control game.
Yeah, and set collection, a lot of things.
Yeah.
But it's mainly a trick-taking, so it's like you need, generally, unless they get real clever with it, you need more than 2 players. So we set up for 4. The other 2 people that signed up did not show up, but we told them, like, that's okay. We'll just play 2-handed. We're just trying your game out. It's not like we're playing to win or anything. And he was like, all right, cool. That's fine. Thank you. We sat there, we played it, and I actually thought that was a cool game. I didn't have a lot of hopes because I think we just signed up for it. We were like, oh, that's cool. It's from Cleveland. We'll check it out.
Yeah, I think I was looking, I think I was looking through the events and I was trying to find games that I'd never heard of. And when I saw it was like Proto-Clee, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. So, yeah.
And I actually thought that was a really cool game. And like, it was originally like 3 to 4 players, but I think you were going to say something about that. No? Okay. I think he sent us an email afterward,
he did,
right?
He did, yeah.
And he was like, oh, I'm going to come up, because since we played 2-handed, and I guess he was watching us and taking notes, and he was like, oh, I'm going to come up with like a 2-player variant or something, or a team variant.
Or he's going to try, yeah.
He's going to try to, because we were... I think he asked us for our feedback. He's like, oh, would you buy it? And we were like, well, it's like a 3-player trick-taking game, so...
We play a lot at 2 players, so if usually something's at 3 minimum, we have to pass it up. Yeah. Usually. Sometimes we'll make an exception here and there, but
yeah, so when he asked that question, it was like, no, I love this game. I actually thought it was awesome. I thought it was really clever the way that all of those mechanics came together, but I was like, if it doesn't have a 2-player mode, I personally probably wouldn't buy it, but it's not because I think it's bad. It's just I wouldn't get a chance to play it.
You really liked it. Like, I liked it too.
I thought it was super fun.
But you loved it.
Yeah, it was cool. I thought it was really cool.
I liked playing 2-handed because that was a unique... I've never done that. Playing a trick taker
2-handed. It's like, let me memorize this hand. Let me memorize this hand.
And then it was very unique, and I actually really did like it too. Like, I think like I said, you probably liked it more, but I did like it, and I liked playing 2-handed. I thought that was fun.
That was a fun way to play a game.
And I want to say that both of my players tied.
Yeah, Kim's players tied for first. I did not.
So technically the way it is that one of them did win because there's a tiebreaker mechanic in there with a card. So one of them did win, but they tied. And I thought that was pretty cool.
Rude.
So. But yeah, so it uses a hand of playing cards, essentially.
Yeah.
Right?
There's the 4 suits, you're doing tricks, so it's like highest value in the trump suit that's set up as a lead thing, but the trump suit rotates. Whenever you win tricks, you'll take the trick. There'll be a phase where you start, like, you bid on how many tricks you think you'll win. That'll determine at the end of the round how many squirrels you put out in the different areas to control. And it turns into a really cool game, I think.
Yeah, I really liked it. I know we're doing not a great job at explaining it. I think it was really fun, and...
Yeah, I would say just look into it, and you should be able to find something through Proto-Clee and look up Squirrel Stash, and it's definitely worth looking into.
Yeah.
I think his hope was that he was going to get it like picked up by a publisher,
I believe so,
not like Kickstarter or anything.
Yeah, I believe so.
So, like we said earlier, we walked around, bunch of booths, and we saw some cool booths that we just kind of talked to the people, maybe did a short demo of like a couple turns or something for a handful of games that... We did it for a lot of games, but there's a handful we want to highlight.
Yeah, one thing I will say, like Devin said, we demoed on the floor. I think the most games we've ever demoed on the floor.
I feel like we hit almost every booth.
We demoed at least like 13 games in the exhibit hall, which is really cool. Yeah, so I know you really want to talk about...
Illyriad Empires.
Yes.
Now, the name is like ILLYRIAD Empires, just because it's kind of like, how do I spell that? How do I look it up? But it's part of this company called Speed Robo Games that I think they're more of just like an independent publisher. Like they help indie designers with getting booth space, bringing their game to production, that kind of thing. It's its own thing, Illyriad Empires is, and it's kind of like, what did he gave it like the quick pitch. It's Catan meets Risk meets Dominion.
Yes.
And I was like, oh man, all right, you said Dominion and Risk. Dominion, yeah. All right, so he's like, he ran us through like quickly overview, and it is like, oh, you have control of these hex territories. On your turn, they generate resources. Use those resources to buy cards to add to your deck, because it's a deck builder, and you use them to deploy troops onto the hexes to control hexes, and then you send your troops to hit people. And so that's like quick overview, right? There's a lot of like asymmetry, all kinds of stuff, but like at its core, I was like, this sounds right up my alley. So once that comes to Kickstarter, I'm all over that. Yeah,
as soon as he said that, those three, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. And it sounds really interesting. I'm really interested in it too. And we had previously bought Legacy's Allure from his booth.
Yes.
Last Gen Con?
Gen Con. It was the same guy. Yeah. He did like talk to us about Legacy's Allure, and
you really like that game.
I'm into it. It's like a war game, but without dice. It's like a deterministic combat system. It's kind of chess like, but with
and the cards.
With cards and dragons.
Yeah, so that was a booth that was very cool.
Yeah, he was awesome. Yeah. He was super friendly. He was cool. Next up, we saw Powerwell. This is another one coming to crowdfunding. It is kind of like, I don't know if you've ever played the video game Puzzle Fighter. It's a dueling game, so it's head-to-head dueling. It's asymmetric. You pick like a hero, a fighter, and they have different powers. But instead of like, what's it called? The dice one? Dice Throne.
Yes.
Instead of Dice Throne where you roll and you're like, oh, I have this roll, I can use these powers. It's like there's this marble grid between the two of you with different colored marbles. And it's a like well, it's a gravity-filled well that fills up. So you'll take marbles out, more slide down, you refeed them through the top. And you're trying to do like match 3, match 4 of like different colors to activate different powers on your character's board and attack the other player or heal or do whatever you want to do. It's really cool.
Yeah, it was really fun. We ran through a couple turns of a demo, and I really enjoyed it too.
Oh, I thought it was super fun.
I know you're really interested in it.
Yeah, that's also one coming to crowdfunding, but it seems cool. I like that a lot.
I mean, a lot of these companies that we're talking about are indie, so yeah. We love stopping by indie booths and picking up games and kickstarting games that are from indie developers because it's cool to support
some cool weird stuff.
Yeah, support small. And a lot of these games, I really appreciate stopping by their booths too, because with the game I'm going to talk about, you know, these games you can't find in retail stores because they are.
Yeah, it's like they hit the convention with the products they had printed and they're like, this is what I got.
Yeah, and those are my favorite booths to stop by.
Yeah.
So a booth that I really want to talk about is Estates Raise the Realm, and it is we took a couple turns of a demo. It's essentially a worker placement tableau hand management kind of game.
Worker placement too?
Yes, worker placement. Yeah. So you go through different, almost like seasons in viticulture.
Yeah.
So 3 or 4 eras, I forget how many.
Yeah.
But you go do that, you place your workers to either draw cards, play cards, activate the cards that you played. And yeah, I'm really, really, really interested in it. And it's coming to Kickstarter, and I'm probably going to back that because worker placement and cards, like, come on.
Yeah, it was like it was a very solid, like, I don't know what to call them, like mid-weight gyro.
Yes.
The viticulture is a good like comparison. It's like that kind of weight, that kind of style of Euro-ish strategy game. So it was a solid product. I have to say, it was absolutely solid.
And yeah, I'm really glad we got to do a short demo of that because that solidified, like, I was interested in it and I really was like, but doing that demo, I'm like, this is up my alley. This is my kind of game.
Yeah, it definitely was your kind of game. You were all over it. The second we started taking turns, you were like, oh man.
I would have bought it right there.
And last but not least, we'll talk about some of the games we picked up and have played since then, or just that we picked up and really thought were cool.
Yeah, so one is Tangram City. So we demoed a full game of this at the Capstone booth, And the people we actually sat down and demo it with, they were strangers, and they were really cool. We actually had a lot in common, which is, like going to a convention and meeting friends. That's pretty cool.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
We sat down, we were playing, we started talking, and who was the first one to bring up Buffy? Was it us? It wasn't us.
I don't think it was us.
I think it was the guy sitting across from us, right? And he was like, "Oh yeah, I've been watching Buffy lately," or something. We're like, oh, "We've also been watching Buffy." And then the other woman at the table was like, "I just finished rewatching Buffy."
And then after the person running the demo was like, "Wow, I thought you all knew each other." We had a great time. Yeah. So that's like one of the great things about going to conventions.
Yeah. I think we ended up we've added one of them on Facebook. Yeah. We're gonna meet up later because they live in generally Northeast Ohio area, so it was cool.
Pretty cool. So we ended up picking that up after the demo because it is just a fun 30-minute 1 to 5 player tile laying game, but the tiles they're tangrams, which are essentially just weird shapes of triangles and rectangles. It's a mix of them, so it turns into, it's less I'm playing this tile to activate abilities and more I'm desperately trying to fit all of these tiles on my board to get as many points as possible. And it's difficult. Yes.
Because they're weird shapes.
So there's cards that have the shape of the tile on it. There's a card in the center generally, depending on how many players you're playing. And I really like that it is soloable because I've actually played it several times solo since we bought it. And I really like it solo. And it takes me 20 minutes. So
yeah, it's a super fast game.
Yeah, even
it's
at
fun.
4, it's 30 minutes. It's very cool. And it goes up to 5. And I think that's the perfect kind of game to play at 5.
I agree.
A simultaneous...
Yeah, or it's just I revealed the tile. Everybody grab that tile, figure out you want to place it, and then we'll keep going, and that's it.
Yeah, so I really enjoy that, and I'm really glad we picked it up.
It's really cool.
Another one that I want to talk about is CastleScape.
Kim has been so into this since we bought it.
Yes, and it's from Praetorian Board Games. I think that's how you say it. I might be saying it wrong. I'm sorry, but yeah. So we picked it up, and man. So it is a deck building area control game. Yeah,
that just sums it up.
But it's different because the board, you have little castle walls that you're essentially building, and you want to claim a bailey, which is
just an enclosed structure of walls.
Yes. So you're building a deck, you're buying cards, you're playing cards to build your walls, and then you're playing cards to put
out little cubes that are called recruits, and they're your influence in the area, because just because you placed a wall doesn't mean you own it. That's a public wall, unless your worker ends up on it or inside the enclosure it makes.
So and then the cards that you buy can have points. A lot of them don't have points, though. They're just really good cards, so then you kind of have to balance do I want to go for just the really good cards, or do I want a couple points from the cards? And then you also have a board in front of you where you manage your infamy and corruption.
Because we're building castles, but I guess we're corrupt people, corrupt rulers building castles.
Yes, so whenever you trigger an inspection, which will change by player count, but in 2 players, when you build 15 walls, at the end of whoever took the last wall from the quarry, they trigger an inspection. So wherever your infamy is, you have to remove that many recruits from the board.
Which is devastating if you didn't plan it right, or if somebody triggers an inspection when you didn't see it coming, and you're like, oh no, I didn't get to reduce my infamy. This isn't good.
Yeah, so you can end up losing a lot of recruits and then lose all your control on the Baileys, and so then you lose some it's fun. It's fun. It's honestly, I think, my favorite game that we've picked up, that we have played. We haven't played all the games that we picked up at Origins yet, but I think it's my favorite one.
It is super good. Yeah. And one thing to note is that we've only played it at 2 so far. I was a little skeptical of it because I was like, oh, it's an area control game. It's not going to be great at 2 players, but actually at 2, it's hilarious. Mm-hmm. It is just this cutthroat. It is very take that. Oh, that's 100%. Something to note. There's cards that they've got somebody on a wall, push them off. It's super mean, but it's really fun at 2 players, cutthroat, really tight, really good game. I've been enjoying it too. Kim has just been whooping me in it though.
We played 3 times yesterday, but you won the last game.
I won the last one, barely.
Barely. I really thought I was going to win it. But it's really fun. And deck building. I think he's also mentioned Dominion, and he was like...
Yeah. The second I go up to a booth and they're like, have you ever played Dominion? I'm like, I'll buy it right now, whatever it is.
Yeah, that is definitely, so far, my favorite game we picked up at Origins.
And then the next stuff we've picked up, it's just stuff we thought were cool, but we haven't actually played these yet. We picked up Whistle Stop finally. That's not even a new release.
No,
we just
but
love the way it looks. It's a train game. Kim's been interested in it for a long time.
I've been interested in it for a long time. So
and they had a good deal on it.
They did.
We got like the expansion free and the base game discounted.
Yes.
Effectively.
Yeah.
That was cool. That was really cool. We picked up a number of roll-in rights like Cascadito, Pick-a-Pin. We got Escape. It's a Queen game, but they made like a co-op dice rolling version instead of the like Escape the Temple thing.
And we got that one for free. They were giving away like games at their booth, like you roll a die, and then so we got that, and we got another game for free from them.
Yeah, Queen's Game, just like it's like in the coupon book whenever you show up, it's like go to Queen's Game with this coupon, you get a free game. I was like, nah, for real. I was like, there must be a string attached. And we rolled up, and they're like, roll this dice, get whatever it rolls, and I was like, what?
Yeah, that was cool. Pretty cool.
That was awesome.
So yeah, those are the games we picked up, and we picked up some other games too. Confusing Lands and Sirens. I'm excited to play. I hope we get to play today.
Sirens look super cute.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really cool.
But yeah, so that was our time at Origins. Is there anything else you want to go into?
I talked about national security decision-making game, and that was all I wanted to make sure I talked about. I loved it.
Yeah, we both had a great time, and really can't wait for next year. And like I said, hopefully we can go for Wednesday, because I think someone was playing Legendary Buffy on Wednesday.
Oh,
and
that's right. It was like, I want to play Buffy. Oh, well.
But yeah, hopefully next year.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that's it for today. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.